from the betting capital of the world, giving raw and real breakdowns of mixed martial arts and recapping UFC events like no one else, with producer Martin on the ones and twos and combat sports betting expert Effie. You're listening to Any Action Sportscast. Any Action Sportscast. So put your headphones on and let's take this podcast to the next level.
This isn't a podcast. It's a sportscast.
What is up, guys? We are back. It's your boy Effie with Any Action Sportscast, and as always, we have producer Martin on the ones and twos.
Welcome back to the #1 sportscast in the world, where we give full card predictions and a betting breakdown. Make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn on those post notifications and share this video as well. UFC Columbus. I'm looking forward to breaking down this card. But before we do that, let's go ahead and recap UFC London along with our picks.
And man, betting wise, it was the only negative of UFC London. It was probably the best free card we've got since the pandemic, at least, and probably ever, in my opinion. I was just blown away by the fights. The fighters left it all out there, especially the crowd, dude. The crowd was insane. But let's go over our bets. We actually had a negative night. Never want to do that, but it was slight. It was small. We had a negative 1.23 unit loss on the night, putting us at 22 units still, up 22 on the year, but never want to take a loss, whether it be big or small. And we'll go through the bets. We have Alexander Volkov. Now, the main event, Martin, Tom Aspinall's for real. I took a shot on him. It was like a prove it to me type bet. Volkov, was a proven fighter, and Aspinall was just so fast, dude. The speed in which he could get to those takedowns, like, I was just blown away. And he was, I think Felder mentioned it on the broadcast, he was so calm. He was just so calm in there, and it just, at the moment, wasn't too big for him. And dude, he passed that test with flying colors. I lost money on that fight. We lost money, but I was kind of blown away and all, like, just appreciative of the guy. I was like, damn, this guy's for real. Love the Tai Tuivasa call out. I think the guy hit it out of the park, home run, way to capitalize on a big opportunity. Lost 1 unit on the underdog there, Volkov. And then we had Timur Valiev against Jack Shore. Now this fight didn't get a bonus, but it could have. I thought it was fight of the night, dude. It was a pretty sweet fight. I thought Timur won the first 2 rounds. Could have had it 1-1 for sure. One of those fights where the winner who wins round 3 probably wins the fight, and Timur gets straight slept, gets dropped. And Jack Shore's a real deal, man. Shout out to him. I thought we had value on him at -120. We had 1.2 units on him and we lost that. But then we hit big on our big parlay. We had a big time chalk parlay that ended up coming through with the first leg. Someone I really want to talk about real quick is Muhammad Mokaev. He beat Cody Durden in the first round, and he just looked amazing. We talked about it on the show last week, where he had this crazy extensive amateur career, where he had a very few MMA fights. I think 5 or 5 or 6 pro MMA fights. And so you don't think he has experience, but he does have experience in the amateur scene, and he came out and looked like a title challenger, like straight up. Like, big things coming up for him. I heard they're gonna book him for with International Fight Week in July. Yeah, July.
He's like the youngest fighter that's with the undefeated record, right? This guy's crazy, man. When that you mentioned that, I just saw it today.
Dude, he's the real deal. He is the real deal. He's the most highest touted prospect the UFC has seen since Khamzat Chimaev. This guy is the truth. He could wrestle and he can strike and he has cardio. Saint's schedule is probably not the best, but the UFC is going to start to push him. I hope they give him the Tim Elliott fight. But yeah, shout out to Muhammad Mokaev. Hits the first leg of the parlay. After that, we had Ilia Topuria. Now this fight, Martin, Jai Herbert comes out and just cracks Ilia with the leg kick. Ilia came out super reckless, just swinging for the fences, and gets caught. I thought that was real dumb. I thought he was gonna come out and try and get submission early, but he didn't go for the legs until he got cracked and wobbled, put on his butt. Herbert looked like a live dog at that time. There's no way in the first 2 minutes, 3 minutes of that fight you could have thought Ilia was a -450 favorite going up a weight class. But sure enough, he comes to his senses on the cage. He grabs him on the cage. Good fight IQ, and dude, his knockout in the second round was so vicious. He threw his head down. We hit that for the second leg of the parlay. Big win for him, but he needs to go back to 145. His future's at 145 for sure. But man, talk about this power translate. His power definitely translated up a weight class. Sucks for Jai, but I thought Jai had him out, man. He should have, not should have, but I wish he would have you know, for his sake, swarmed him when he had him hurt, but he didn't. Then, man, we had the star of the show, Paddy the Baddy Pimblett, to close the parlay. He comes out and gets rocked, actually, again, just like in his previous fight, and gets put on his butt. Sure enough, able to get to his feet, has a sick hip toss judo throw along the cage, and from there it was all over. He ends the fight about not too long after that.
Oh, body the body. Oh, body the body.
Dude, what'd you think, man? I know you. It was one of those where he was walking out, and I was like, "Oh, dude, this is sick."
Well,
the crowd is going
we've been
crazy.
getting into a little discussion about Paddy, right? I told you, in the UFC world, huge star, but when it comes to like the both worlds of like the public worlds, you know, the common fans in UFC, I was saying I don't think he's getting the numbers that he deserves. Okay, and we said, okay, how much views do you think he can get for his post-fight interview, you know? So I said, I don't think he can get 1.5 to 2 million, right? And we gave it a day and a half. And I think last we checked, it was what, 700,000 views. Now, that being said, when Conor McGregor fought in the UFC, his second fight, his post interviews weren't that big either. So I'm just saying, Paddy still can be a star. I know he's been getting a lot of hate, like he's being cheesy and stuff, but I think Paddy, if he doesn't, he's trying a little bit too hard. He just needs to be Paddy the Baddy, okay? He needs to be Paddy the Baddy and try not to try too hard. You know, like eating a pizza at the post press. Like I don't, you know, like that's your time to show and market yourself. That's where Conor shined. You know, this is where people wanted to see what he was going to say next. I don't want to see him smacking on a pizza.
The thing is, he can't really talk smack or talk bad about another fighter, calling out a fighter, because he didn't look that good. There's a reason why he avoided talking about Ilir Topuria, called him the hand sanitizer boy. Like, because he had to get killed by Ilya, dude. Even though Ilya's smaller, Ilya's hands are just no way. He was no way he'd be able to handle that speed. Dude, someone like Rafael Fiziev. And I'm not saying that. I'm not saying we should give Paddy the Baddy a top 15 fight. I'm not saying taking it slow. I'm not trying to hang on the kid. I think he can be a star. I agree with Martin. Dude, if you have that big of a following, I don't care who you are. Like, you have to fight on the main card of a pay-per-view. And I'll even go further, Martin. If Paddy the Baddy comes to Vegas on a card in Vegas, I will buy a ticket just to see his walkout. That's how cool his walkout looked. Like, the energy looked so sick, and I was like, dude, you're not that good, but this is awesome. Like, this is like, hell yeah, dude. Like, yeah, well, fun card, dude. And then, not to mention, because we didn't bet on it, but we have to talk about it. That followed Molly McCann's spinning elbow. Now, Martin, I haven't told you this, but I missed it live. I missed one of the best knockouts in women's MMA history live because I was in my car. I was coming back from the store. I had left after round 2. Ain't that crazy?
Well, I mean, that's why people like. Well, good thing this wasn't a. I mean, that's why. You're right to be part of history. I watched that live. Now you got to tell your grandkids.
No, I was coming back. I mean, if we're being honest, I went to go get beer after the second round. I'm coming back, and I walked into her parading the belt. I was like, what the hell's going on? The place is going crazy. And I was really confused. I was like, what the hell? What's going on? I mean, obviously, I was like, she won, but then she's screaming everywhere. I was like, oh, obviously. And then I saw the knockout. I was like, oh my goodness. I was speechless. I was like stunned, honestly. I thought I was laughing at the fact that I missed it, but yeah, dude, shout out to Molly McCann. That belt thing was funny. She gets in the cage after Paddy wins, and just overall great night for the UK, dude. We didn't talk about it. Well, just to wrap up our bets, guys, real quick. We also had Makhachev inside the distance, so we actually sprinkled on the props on that. Makhachev inside the distance -110. We hit that, and then we lost on Topuria via decision. We also sprinkled 0.25 units on that. Like I said, end the night 1.23 units. But the fights themselves, guys, we didn't mention Dan Hooker, dude, got whooped by Arnold Allen. Arnold Allen looks so fast, man, that I was stunned. I mean, I thought it was gonna be a close fight. I thought Hooker actually probably had the advantages there, but dude, no, Arnold Allen is a real deal. He has the quietest 9-fight winning streak in the UFC, and I'm looking forward a lot to what his future is gonna hold for sure. Who else on the card deserves a shout out? Dude, Paul Craig getting the submission after getting whooped. He's getting just mollywopped on the ground, and dude throws up the triangle, wins. He's like the submission version of Derek Lewis. Like he can wait no matter what to like he's getting whooped and then throw it up and get the win. I wish I would have bet on him via submission. I'm sure that prop was nice, but dude, just a great night of fights. Probably, like I said earlier, probably the best free fight card we've seen in years. And just like hats off to the crowd, man. They killed it. Curtis Blaydes versus Chris Daukaus, and the line currently sits Curtis Blaydes minus 365 and Daukaus, the big underdog, at plus 280. Now this line's been getting steamed. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Blaydes minus 400 by the end of the week. And I'll be honest, that's a little high in my opinion, but it's just a stylistic matchup. Blaydes is a beast of a wrestler at heavyweight. He's probably the best wrestler at the heavyweight division. Now Curtis only loses to people with crazy knockout power. He's lost 3 times, and he's only lost to Francis and Derek Lewis. And the Derek Lewis fight, man, that uppercut was so vicious and dirty, man. Like I felt bad for him. I thought he was looking good that fight actually too. But I'm real high on Chris Daukaus, man. Or I mean Curtis Blaydes. I'm also high on Chris Daukaus. It's one of those fights where I don't want to say Blaydes is a prospect because he's sort of been around in the UFC, that high level UFC fights, but Daukaus is sort of ascending real rapidly. And I will say he does probably have the speed advantage here if you talk about in the stand-up. He's probably the quicker fighter here, but I don't think Blaydes will have much trouble dealing with that. I think Blaydes is going to try to chain wrestle, get this down, spam takedowns all fight, and we haven't really seen Daukaus have to show his takedown defense in the UFC. On the regional scene, he did somewhat have good takedown defense, and you know, I just don't think he'll be able to get up enough times to win this fight. I just think that Blaydes is going to plow right through Daukaus. I think he's going to bulldoze him and win fairly easily. Now, Daukaus is 12-4, and in all 4 of his losses, he's been finished. He's been knocked out 3 times and submitted once. Now, Blaydes is 15-3 in all of his 3 losses. He's been knocked out. So in combined 7 professional losses, they've all been finished. These guys don't lose decisions. If they go to the decision, they probably win. And well, they do win. It's 100% finish rate in their losses. So I feel like this fight doesn't go to the decision. It's probably the play. I lean Blaydes, maybe put him on a parlay piece. But yeah, I think the line's too big to play him straight. I think Blaydes via TKO, via ground and pound. Next, we have Joanne Wood versus Alexa Grasso. Yep, not called the Wood, just Wood. Now the line currently sits Grasso is the favorite at minus 225. Woods is the underdog at plus 185. Now Joanne is 2-3 in her last 5. She's 1-3 in her last 4. Alexa is 3-2 in her last 5, and I'm pretty high on Alexa. I think she's a really good striker. She's that classic Mexican boxer. She has clean, crisp boxing in my opinion, and she seems to be getting better throughout the more experience she gets in the UFC. Now Wood, she's shown flashes of being really good. She almost had that title fight lined up, and she can fight and defeat high quality fighters, but she's on a bad, somewhat of a skid here. And she also has a really bad habit, Joanne Wood, of getting submitted in the first round. I believe Santos, Maia, Andrade, and Moroz all submitted her in the first round. It's the thing with this fight though, Alexa Grasso has 0 submission wins. She's not a threat to submit Wood here, I don't think. I think the better grappler probably on the ground is probably going to be Wood, and I think that's where she wants to fight because, like I said earlier, Grasso has a striking advantage, or should, in this fight. Joanne's well-rounded, man. She has experience, but I do think Grasso is the quote-unquote prospect or contender on the rise, and I do think she's a safe parlay piece, and she's pretty much a decision machine. She's not going to knock out Wood, and I don't see how she's going to submit Wood. So I know the line's juiced, but fight goes to the decision is probably like minus 350. If it's below minus 350, go ahead and parlay that piece too. I think this fight sees the cards, play the over. But my pick is Grasso via decision. Up next, man, is the fight that I thought was going to be the co-main event. We got huge stakes in this fight. I'm talking about ASKAROV going against KHIZRIEV of France. Now, ASKAROV is a huge favorite at minus 335, and France the big underdog at plus 260. ASKAROV at 14-0-1, KHIZRIEV France at 23-9. Now, me and producer Martin were actually talking pre-show about this fight, and I told him I thought ASKAR was going to crush France. I thought he was going to run right through him. And he was actually surprised to hear me say that, man. What do you think?
I was surprised because I mean, I didn't do much tape research, but I mean, Kai is on this momentum wave, and I'm just vibing with him. I think he's at a good mental state. I think he's really primed up right now, and he's eager to fight. And, you know, obviously, like you said, he's going against a scary guy, but he wouldn't take this fight if he knew he was going to lose. And so I think he's going to, I could see a KO, man. I could see, I was saying, what, first round KO, but I mean, the first round could be a little feel out process, you know, leg kick, strike, keeping distance, you know, trying to feel each other out. And then second round, it just takes that one punch from Kai. I think he's there.
Dude, it can happen. You know, these guys, these wrestlers can get caught for sure. And Kai will be the better striker here. He will have the striking advantage. He will have the 2-inch reach advantage. And he has the power advantage, no doubt. In 8 UFC fights, Martin, he has 6 knockdowns. And for that weight class, that's pretty impressive, man. That's wild. But I do think Askar is championship material. I think he will be champion. I think that he's just, his style is hard to beat, man. His only blemish on his record, he's 14-0-1. His only blemish is the draw against Brandon Moreno. Look at what Brandon Moreno is doing right now. He just got booked for his 4th title fight in a row against Figgy. Now, you know, we know how good he is. So Askar has great wins on his resume as well. He beat Pantoja, the #1 contender. I think he missed weight though, so can't be doing that. He out-wrestled Joey B before he retired, and he also beat Tim Elliott, man. I've just been really impressed with Askar, and he just spams takedowns. He's gonna come out here and just get this fight on the ground. But yeah, that's the thing. Can Kai France keep this on the ground? I mean, on the feet? He's faced 24 takedowns in the UFC, and he's defended 21. That's pretty good. That's a high, you know, percentage. But he's never fought someone like Askar. He's never fought someone as good as Askarov. And I do think Askarov is going to be able to get this to be a decision. He's a decision machine. He's not really finishing anyone. Maybe submission if it presents itself along the cage. I could see him riding him out, and maybe he gets to the neck. But I just think that his takedown attempts are insane. I think he's attempted 39 takedowns in 4 UFC fights. Askarov, you know, he's coming. He's going to be going, and he's a minute winner on the ground. And I just think he's going to be able to take him down, mat return him at will, and really show his grappling advantage here. I'm high on Askarov. I think he'll be future champ, and I lean Askarov. Maybe put him on that price. It is insane. I will say that, considering the knockout power that Kai France has shown he has. But I think he's a safe parlay piece, and maybe if you want to sprinkle on the prop, Askarov via decision, probably bring down that -335, or you know, minus closer to 100. Up next, man, we have a pure violence fight, in my opinion. I'm talking about Matt Brown versus Bryan Barberena. The line currently sits as a pick'em. Barberena, you know, his record is 16-8. Matt Brown 23-18. Now, the thing with this fight is the age. Matt Brown is 41 years old. Barberena is 32. There's a 9-year age difference here. But I actually think that Barberena is the fighter that is looking, you know, more on the downward trend than Matt Brown. Matt Brown's coming off his sick KO win over Lima, and he's, you know, proven he still has that knockout power in him. Whereas Barberena, to me, has shown he might have a little bit of a chin issue. That chin might be fading here, and he's coming off that, you know, big back surgery, and he hasn't really looked the same since. Another thing with this fight is that it's in Ohio, and Matt Brown is from Ohio, who have the hometown crowd going for him. He'll have all that energy of the supporters there. And regardless of where this fight was going to be had, I think he was live for a finish. And I think he's extra live now for the fact that he's in Ohio. And a little fun fact that he's had 9 professional fights in Ohio, and all 9 have finished via finish, whether he finished them or his opponent, you know, got finished Matt. I just think that he comes out to put on a show here. He's live for a finish, whether he gets put on his shield. And I do think Barberena is a more chinny fighter here, even though he's younger. He got dropped twice by Jason Witt. It's a big red flag. I do like Matt Brown, and I like him via finish. And dude, Martin, this next fight I thought was going to be a any action 1-800 gambler. Do not touch this fight. But then I looked more into it. I'm talking about ALEKSEI OLEINIK versus Ilir Latifi. Now the line currently sits Latifi -170, OLEINIK +150. Now, if you just look at these guys' professional MMA record, they'll obviously stand out tremendously to you. OLEINIK is 59-16-1. Latifi is 15-8. OLEINIK is 44 years old, guys. This is an auto fade. I'm auto fading OLEINIK just because he's 44 years old. I don't care about his Ezekiel chokes, his scarf holds, or how good he is via submission. I just think that if you're 44 years old, fighting in the UFC as a heavyweight, I have to bet against you. Now, the thing is, I wish they gave me someone better than Ilir Latifi, because Ilir Latifi doesn't really do anything. He doesn't throw any volume. He's supposed to have this power knockout threat, and he hasn't knocked out anyone since 2016. He's probably going to be the better wrestler here. I do expect him to win minutes along the cage, and I I think he'll be liable of a knockout if they leave the clinch. But you know, he was explosive. He came up earlier from his career up a weight class, and he just doesn't throw enough volume. I thought he won the Derek Lewis fight, honestly, but I still have to go with Latifi. He has no neck, so I'm not worried about OLEINIK's submissions. And plus, this is what kind of pushed me over the edge. In Latifi's 23 professional fights, he's never been submitted. And in OLEINIK's last 7 fights, he has 1 submission. He's like supposed to be the submission threat where it hasn't been happening for him lately. I just think he's too old. He's on his way out. He's a legend, you know, hats off to him. But I gotta fade him here. We're gonna go ahead and go with Latifi. And I think he might be live for a finish, but I'm gonna play it safe and go with the decision. Go Latifi via decision. Now, dude, this next fight is a late replacement fight. I'm talking about Jennifer Maia versus MANON FRIOT. The line currently sits at a massive, wide -410 for FRIOT. Come back on Maia plus 310. Now, that we gotta talk about that. That's crazy. I mean, I thought FRIOT was gonna be more towards -300, at most -320, but to see her get steamed all the way to -400, that's just unplayable. 4 units to win 1. I don't know, man. It's a lot of faith, but I gotta say, I am a big FRIOT fan. I think she's gonna be a champion one day, or at least fight for about one day, if Valentina decides to leave. But she has a legit striking, dude. Her striking's like really fast, and Maia, the way she fights, it doesn't really play into this fight. You would think she has a grappling advantage in her fights where she would, you know, set up her punches to get her takedowns, but she doesn't. She's sort of okay with you taking her down and then working off her back, getting her sweeps. She doesn't actively seek the takedown, which is very strange. And if she decides to keep the standing with FRIOT, I think she's going to lose quite easily. And I think FRIOT is a safe parlay piece. I really don't see any threat here from Maia, literally anywhere. So if she wins, go ahead and clip this. But MANON, I think, is a safe parlay piece. I won't give her out as a lock at -410, but via decision, maybe. I do see Maia being hard to finish here. As like I said, I don't see my FRIOT going for a takedown, maybe TKO there, but FRIOT all day.
And this isn't a simp bet, is it?
No, not a simp bet. Yeah, definitely not a simp bet on MANON FRIOT. No offense to MANON FRIOT. Great fighter. But go ahead, FRIOT and via decision. Up next, we have a sneaky good fight placed at the lower part of the card where I think it should be higher. I'm talking about Neil Magny versus Max Griffin. This one's going to be a banger, dude. Don't miss this fight. The line currently sits Magny -225, Griffin the underdog at +185. Now, Neil Magny's 25-8, Griffin is 18-8. Neil's 4-1 in his last 5 UFC fights, with his only loss coming to Michael Chiesa. He's coming off beating Jeff Neal, where I actually bet on Jeff Neal. We lost money on Neil Magny, came out and looked great. You know, hats off to him. Max is 3-2 in his last 5 fights, but he's actually on a 3-fight winning streak, coming off beating Carlos Condit. And to me, he's actually impressed me in those 3 fights. He's looked like he's improving, you know, this late into his career, which you always want to see that. But I do think Neil Magny is a better fighter everywhere. And when I was looking more at the tail of the tape, it was leaning Neil's side the whole way. Neil's 2 years younger than Max Griffin. And I thought that was interesting because I thought Neil was going to be older with all the experience he has. I just feel like he's been in the UFC forever, and he's actually 2 years younger than Max. He has a 4-inch height and reach advantage over Max, and he has 25 UFC fights compared to Max Griffin's 12. To me, that's significant, and it just shows that he's been in the UFC longer, and he's also fought higher level opposition, to where every time sort of Max fights someone like Neil, which it hasn't been a long time, you know, since then, but he sort of, you know, can get past that next level. So I do think Neil will win this fight, because I don't think Max really poses a danger anywhere. I know he predicted a 2nd-round knockout over Neil Magny, but he does have the power advantage over Neil, but I don't think that's going to happen. Neil's smart. He's been in there with dangerous fighters before. And I trust him to get the win here. The line, you know, that's not bad. We'll see if we play it straight, but Neil Magny, I just think that he is a decision machine. He's not going to finish Max Griffin. He's not going to knock him out, submit him. Max Griffin might knock out Neil Magny, but I doubt it. I just think Magny's going to get this in the clinch, get this in control positions, be the minute winner, and win the decision. So I have Neil Magny and Neil Magny via decision. This next fight, we got Sara McMann versus KAROL ROSA. Line currently sits Rosa at -220. McCann comeback at the underdog +180. McCann's 12-6. Rosa's 15-3. You know, pretty basic here. Breakdown of this fight. McCann's 2-3 in her last 5. Rosa's 5-0. We know what McCann's gonna do. She's gonna come out and wrestle. She's an Olympic wrestler, but she has a huge gas tank problem. She clearly fades in all of her fights. She didn't fight professionally, I don't think, until her early 30s. You know, she picked up MMA sort of late, whereas Rosa, you know, has been fighting as a pro way longer, and she actually is a threat to submit McCann, in my opinion. McCann has shown she can get submitted. She's 41 years old also. McCann's 41 years old. We have quite a few old fighters on the card. She's another one. She's 41, and I don't think she's going to fix her gas tank anytime soon. There's no secret what she wants to do. She wants to get this fight to the ground. So I actually think she might be live to win round 1, maybe even round 2. But I do see her gassing out, and I don't see how Rosa loses this fight. Unless she can get up, which I think she will be able to get up. She's pretty safe as well. I'm going to go ahead and lean Rosa, and Rosa via decision. Up next, we have BATGEREL DANAA versus Chris Gutierrez. This fight should be interesting, and I think we might have a live dog. We have DANAA at -155 and Gutierrez at +135. Now, this is a short notice fight for Chris. We gotta mention that. He took this fight about a month out, so he didn't have a full camp, but he does have the experience advantage here. DANAA has not fought the same level of quality opponents, in my opinion, as Gutierrez. We'll go ahead and go over his career. So he lost his debut, but then since then has rattled off 3 straight UFC knockouts, all within the first round. He's looked great. He looks like he definitely has power. This dude has stones in his hands, and it just seems like the way he fights, though, he's all or nothing. I think 10 out of his 12 wins have been in the first or second round. He's 12-2, and 10 out of those 12, Martin, haven't gotten past the 12th round or second round. That's crazy. Like, he's out there finishing people, especially for that weight class. Now, the thing is, Chris Gutierrez has never been knocked out, so something has to give. The guy that knocks everyone out is fighting the guy that doesn't get knocked out. So, I don't know, man. I think BATGEREL probably will win, but I see value on the dog, Gutierrez. He has sick leg kicks. The month notice probably is gonna make me stay away. But I'm gonna go ahead and pick DANAA, but I wouldn't blame anyone betting Gutierrez. I'm gonna go ahead DANAA via decision. Now, dude, this fight, I think is the second or third fight on the card, but it's, to me, the fight I'm looking forward to most. I'm talking about David DVORAK versus MATHEUS NUCOLAU. I've seen people go both ways on this, so we'll get right into it. The line currently sits DVORAK -135, NUCOLAU +115. Now, this fight is between 2 top 10 fighters in the division. It's going to be high-level MMA. NUCOLAU has had 6 fights in the UFC and is coming off wins against Tim Elliott and Manel Kape. Kape's a great fighter. He's been a champion in a different organization, but I actually thought Kape won that fight. David is 3-0 in the UFC, and his best win is probably Bruno Silva. David hasn't fought in 10 months because he got injured, and he actually said in a recent interview that he fought his last fight injured. And if you actually go and watch that tape on that fight, you wouldn't tell, because he just ran right through his opponent. Now, granted, his opponent took it on like 2 days notice, but this guy just steamrolled this dude, saying that he was injured. And I was like, that's pretty impressive. This guy's fighting injured and still putting on good performances. He fights sort of reckless, though. He gets wild in his exchanges, and I do think he'll leave himself open to get taken down by NUCOLAU. NUCOLAU has shown he can get people down. He shot 19 takedowns in the UFC, landed 9. That's a really good ratio, almost 50%. And I just think that the way he fights, if he can get up, there'll be problems, but I do think he will get up. And I do think that he's actually live for a knockout. He has fucking stones in his hands, man. His highlight reels are pretty crazy. What else? Yeah, one thing I have to mention, NUCOLAU is also dangerous. In 6 UFC fights, he's scored 5 knockdowns, and that's real crazy for this division. These light little small guys to get knocked down like that's pretty crazy. But I don't know, man. I think that David is a better fighter. I think he's fought worse competition, but he's going to show that he's better. He's more well-rounded. I don't think we've seen his full potential in the UFC, and I'm riding with the prospect, man. I like David DVORAK, and I like him via second-round finish. Oh, man, Martin. I'm going to butcher this dude's name so bad, so I'm just going to call him AK. ALIASKHAB KHIZRIEV.
C'est un mot, ça?
Mais t'es sérieux, toi? Bon, arrête tes conneries.
13-0 versus DENIS Tuliliunin.
Class vocabulary.
These guys are both Russian, dude. Sorry, man. Like, I can't say these names. I'm sorry, not gigantic, right? The line currently sits AK, the 13-0 guy, -450, biggest favorite on the card. DENIS +340. Not much to say on this fight, especially because DENIS, I couldn't find any tape on this guy. But the AK man, we saw him on Dana White Contender Series in 2020. He hasn't fought in 2 years. It's pretty wild. Usually on the Contender Series, you win, you get a UFC fight pretty quickly. But you know, he showed out. He's one of those Russians that has crazy power, could also wrestle. Super dangerous, big boy. I think this is a heavyweight fight. No action on this. I never want to bet on a fight where, you know, you don't have a strong read either way. And at that line, that's just insane. Maybe put AK via knockout or finish, but no read on this fight. Stay away fight for sure. After that, we have the first fight of the night: Luis Saldana versus Bruno Souza. Line currently sits Saldana minus 120, Souza plus 100. Now Saldana's 15-7, Souza's 10-2. And likewise, like those previous fight, no real read on this fight. I do think Souza probably wins plus 100. You know, not a bad stab. Haven't been too impressed with Saldana. He is pretty tall for the division and long, but you know, not really impressed overall recently with him. So stay away fight. Don't have to bet it. Just because the bookies make a line doesn't mean you have to bet it. Stay away the fight for sure. And that'll wrap it up for Any Actions UFC Columbus betting breakdown for all the fights. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys had fun. Thanks for tuning in. But it's time for the most important part of the show, our official UFC Columbus bets. Our first bet will be Mark Diakese plus 150, 1 unit to win 1.5. Then we have David Dvorak minus 130, 2.6 units to win 2. After that, we have Iri Latifi 1.7 units to win 1. Scared money don't make money. Let's go. And then we have a parlay for the people. Again, we've been hitting our parlays, man, low-key. I really feel we hit one last week. I feel really good about it. Trying to make 3 weeks in a row where we hit a parlay. We have a 3-legger at plus 170 odds, man. 1.5 units to win 2.25. And they are Alexa Grasso minus 225, ASKAROV minus 335, and Neil Magny minus 225. And with that, that'll bring us to our lock of the night. We were 7-1 in our history, looking to improve right here. Did skip last week, didn't have a lock last week, but I feel great about one this week. The lock of the night for UFC Columbus is Blaydes versus Daukaus. Fight ends in a knockout, minus 180. We're gonna go ahead and lay 2.7 units on this to win 1.5. Now, the reason I feel like it's a lock is because in 7 professional fights, 6 of them combined between both these guys have been via knockout. Only 1 submission. Neither guy has ever lost a decision, and I feel like they're gonna lay it out there. I feel like Daukaus with his speed is live for a knockout over Blaydes, and I just feel like for 25 minutes, Blaydes is liable to get him down and ground and pound him, get him out of there. So I love this bet. Like I said, lock of the night. Fight ends in TKO. Blaydes versus Daukaus, minus 180. And guys, I really do think we're in store for a great night of fights at UFC Columbus. Make sure you guys in tune next week when we recap all of our bets. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you think about the show, what you think about our bets, if you're taking them or fading them. Thanks so much for tuning in. Really appreciate all the support. And just remember, we'll continue to take any action.